Okay? Keeping in mind the whole entire time that I'm reading thoroughly through this with you guys, the Bybit hack, okay, happened on February 21st, days before these partnerships. I'm about to freaking blow y'all's mind, okay? And do your own personal research. I'm just bringing to your attention some of the research that I've conducted over the past couple of weeks, making and piecing together these interconnected webs, proving not only to myself, but just in my investments that they are building out the new financial infrastructure. And these are the projects that are regulatory compliant. They're partnering with organizations that are regulatory compliant. They're partnering with financial institutions. They're building out the backbone of this new system. In today's video breakdown, I'm going to be breaking down some projects. I picked 2 out of the 4 that I want to break down to you guys because of how extensive I know today's video breakdown is going to be. So I'm going to separate the other 2 projects that I want to bring to your attention that I'm going to be adding to my portfolio in a separate video that we'll do next week. But I told you guys earlier this week, we did a research Zoom call, right? And we had a lot of people tune into that where we were reading documents and kind of just going over the regulatory environment and looking at developments from March. I want to continue to do that with you guys. And so this is going to be, in that perspective that you guys get to see before I make these videos public, even if I do decide to make these videos public. So I will be making this one public, but ones in the future that we do, give or take, maybe out of like every 4 that we do, I'll only be making like 1 publicly available. And then you guys will get the juice behind the scenes on some research that we don't really make publicly available, right? So just again, trying to find a better way to spend more time with you guys outside of accurate fundamentals, outside of accurate technical analysis, and just kind of bringing a more in-depth research side of things to this community, right? For people that care, that actually like documents, and that don't mind nerding out with me for 45 minutes to an hour to see how crazy this stuff gets, right? So in today's video breakdown, we have 2 precursor videos. It's a video of this gentleman here from Blackrock going on to talk about how he sees the current market environment as a test for what's coming.
I'm a futurist and I'm an optimist, and I think this is the entry-level drug and the first test case for completely digitizing our ecosystems. Sandy told you that all our infrastructure has been built over decades and decades and decades, and it's creaky. We have a view that the internet went through phases. We believe blockchains are going through phases. I'm going to be a little bit excitable here. It's possible as we think about these chains that gaming and NFTs and meme coins are practice for massive adoption of not just financial services transactions, like billions and trillions of them, but usage in the real human economy. Like actually your day-to-day, you're interacting with payments in a digitally native manner. And maybe these first few phases are testing and challenging the chains to be able to handle the volumes that are coming.
The main thing that he says in this video at about 21 minutes, institutional adoption, in it for the tech or the turn, is he talks about how the current environment he sees as a test for what is coming. And that's very important in today's video breakdown. I'm going to full circle back to this, okay? Because this is going to freaking blow your mind. I'm going to physically prove to you guys that some things that have recently happened back with this gentleman on stage from Blackrock is literally telling us to our faces that this current environment is a test for what's coming, okay? The second video breakdown that is very paramount to today's video breakdown is this lady. I don't remember what institution or major organization she's from. But she goes on to talk about the most recent hack that we experienced back at the end of February.
And away from that, I think DeFi very quietly is humming along like really, really well, especially given, I don't know if everybody saw that, but crypto had the worst liquidation in the last 24 hours, more than COVID, more than sort of like any historically. And none of these chains broke. None of the lending protocols broke or were unable to process transactions. These things are largely not reported in the media, but these are the silent spaces where I do see opportunity.
The Bybit hack, and she talks about how it was the biggest hack in crypto history, if not one of the biggest hacks in history ever. And she mentions and talks about how DeFi survived. DeFi survived it. Not only did it survive it, but it came out on top, and it shows maturation in this ecosystem. And that's going to play a very important role in today's video breakdown as well. All right. So the two projects that I'm going to be covering today, actually, we'll start off with just one. All right. As I mentioned to you guys yesterday in the Aqua Zoom call, I noticed that one of the researchers shared this post from Securitize, and on this kind of little tiny video reel, it's about 15 seconds long. They have a couple of different names listed on here, right? I know personally about Aptos, Arbitrum, Avalanche, all these, Circle. I know about Coinbase, Copper. Kind of bringing your attention to the pink one right there in the middle, right? Velo. We got a lot of influencers covering Velo on the internet, and a lot of influencers talking about, tokenization of real world assets on Velo and Velo's DeFi ecosystem and whatnot. But I noticed three other names on here that I wanted to bring to your attention that doesn't get a lot of mainstream attention, but have been doing big things lately. And I'm talking about like huge things that it's questionable why it's not getting any mainstream attention. And so again, as I mentioned to you guys yesterday on the Zoom call, you know how like the mainstream utility assets, I call them mainstream. Crypto is not mainstream yet. There's only 560 million participants in crypto. So mainstream is 800 million to 1 billion people. That's the definition of mainstream according to crypto. It's like 8% of the population. So anyways, whole nother off-topic point. But what I'm trying to get you guys to see is I was like, I'm looking at these names and I want to do more research. Why is nobody talking about these things? And then when I went in and I dug on Redstone, Athena, and Wormhole, I blew my freaking mind. And I encourage you guys to do the same. So after this call today, don't just go and be like, oh, Cypress said he's adding these assets to his portfolio, so I'm going to do the same. Go do some research like I'm showing you guys today. Go open up the websites, go open up the documents, go look at the partnerships, go watch the panel discussions, and do your own personal research. I'm just bringing to your attention some of the research that I've conducted over the past couple of weeks, making and piecing together these interconnected webs, proving not only to myself, but just in my investments that they are building out the new financial infrastructure. And these are the projects that are regulatory compliant. They're partnering with organizations that are regulatory compliant. They're partnering with financial institutions. They're building out the backbone of this new system. Okay. So first we're going to focus on Red. Then in today's video breakdown, we're going to transition over to Athena, and I will leave Wormhole and the other asset that Kev brought to everybody's attention, SEI, for the second video breakdown. Okay. When I'm looking for in a project that I'm investing in is obviously, of course, good partnerships, good communication amongst the people that are in charge of the team, who's on the team. Audits, white papers are accurate. They're being regulatory compliant, so on and so forth, right? You guys catch the gist. And so here is one of the fundamental pieces that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention. And I asked this question in the chat this rising because I pay attention to detail. And so this fundamental piece from March 12th, 2025 says, Redstone selected by Securitize as blockchain Oracle partners, bringing all its tokenized assets to DeFi ecosystems. This partnership ensures cutting-edge Oracle solutions underpin tokenized real-world asset offerings from the world's largest asset managers. Redstone's oracles are the fastest growing DeFi oracle. And so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, right, you have this battle that's taking place on X right now between Flare and Link. As you guys saw, Hugo Filion responded to a Link representative or somebody that's on the Link team, I guess, on X. And it actually started to gain some traction and attention, their back and forth battle. I actually replied to it. That's besides the point today. So meanwhile, they're trying to hack it out, talk about who's the best Oracle provider. But here you have an actual fundamental piece saying Redstone's oracles are the fastest growing DeFi Oracle out there. Today, they announced that they've been selected as an Oracle partner by Securitize. This partnership will enable Redstone to deliver price feeds for Securitize's current and future tokenized products. As the leader in real-world asset tokenization, Securitize collaborates with some of the world's largest financial institutions, including Apollo, BlackRock, Hamilton Lane, and KKR. As Securitize's first blockchain Oracle provider, so again, they're not saying that it's going to be their last one, but it is their first choice, their first blockchain Oracle provider. Redstone will supply price feeds for real-world asset tokenized by Securitize, such as the Apollo Diversified Credit Securitized Fund, the BlackRock USD Institutional Digital Liquidity Fund. This collaboration will significantly expand the potential use cases for these assets, including applications in money market exchange venues or as collateral in decentralized finance platforms. So I'll kind of leave it there. And then it says Redstone delivers high quality secure data feeds across EVM and check this out, non-EVM chains. This blew my mind because what has what has Flare been attempting to do for the last consecutive couple of years, right? For the past 4 years, they've been attempting to bring.
I mean, it's been quite the journey so far. So Flare started out with the intention of becoming the DeFi hub for non-smart contract chain tokens, offering utility Web3 functionality like virtual machine functionality with smart contracts for non-smart contract chain tokens like Bitcoin, like XRP, like Dogecoin. And what we've been working on over the past 4 or 5 years has been putting together a really strong, robust, decentralized infrastructure to support that functionality. So Flare is a layer 1 EVM blockchain.
DeFi capabilities to non-EVM chains, right? Like Bitcoin, Doge, XRPL, right? But this platform's already partnering and doing things behind the scenes and already does this, right? So ensuring scalable growth for Securitize and DeFi, this partnership ensures trust, legitimacy, and comprehensive cross-chain Oracle delivery supported by the highest security standards. So I'm not crapping on Flare by any means. I hold a very big bag of it, but again, I'm diversified. And if I'm seeing partnerships and developments happening right here, where they're talking about this is the first Oracle provider that Securitize is choosing to use, I'm scratching my head as to why it's not getting any mainstream attention or adoption. It like makes me feel like they're trying to suppress it. They're trying to like not let people know about it, right? So as we go on, and that's just where my thought process is. I'm not confirming or denying that that's to be the case, but that's just how my brain thinks, right? If everybody's so fixated on Link and Flare, but nobody's ever really heard of Redstone, yet here they are sitting with organic growth on their X profile, 277,000 followers partnering with Securitize. It's like, makes you think, right? So I want to dip my toes into it, right? So Redstone, modular blockchain Oracle, just reading thoroughly through their website, available on 70 plus chains, trusted by 130 plus clients, supporting 1,250 plus assets. That's huge. Okay, check this out. It says any asset, Redstone supports secure price feeds for assets faster than competitors. Redstone has the deepest price discovery and most advanced pricing methodology of any blockchain Oracle. Build lending, perpetual restaking, or BTC staking, Bitcoin staking protocols effortlessly. Redstone supports all data consumption models, use push and pull blockchain oracles, and beyond. Redstone's modular architecture scales as easily as your protocol. Redstone is live on 60 plus chains already and can be easily deployed on any EVM and many non-EVM chains. That's crazy, right? So here you can go on all their chains and see what's live. Builders, by builders, for builders. Let's see. Here's their security platforms. Again, I went and I took a look at all of these crazy security platforms. If you just do a little bit of digging here, I didn't want to add that in today's video breakdown because I wanted to, keep it as minimal as possible in terms of length. But definitely go check out these security platforms that they're integrated with. It says Redstone has been live since 2021. Yet again, well, you don't really hear anything about it, and has never failed or experienced a mispricing event, right? Which again just shows maturation on this project, this ecosystem, and what it is that they've built out for the last, we're going on 4 years now. It talks about here how they're protecting $8 billion right now in independent data from DeFi Llama. That's a big number. And it talks about that they're backed by some leading blockchain investors. So again, you can kind of just click. Here's their team, who's backing the project. They have a whole bunch of, like I said, very transparent. You can go find out who's on the team. You can go look at all their LinkedIn profiles. I did all that. I encourage you guys to go do all that. I'm not going to incorporate that in today's video breakdown, but there's a lot of interconnected webs, like who's on their team and their previous connections or their previous experience. Definitely a nice deep rabbit hole. We could go down there as well. Let's see. Okay, so this is something else I found interesting. Redstone powers 146 top tier DeFi projects that collectively manage $68.5 billion in TVL. That is a huge headline right there. Okay, yet again, barely any mainstream research on this project. Here's a whole bunch of lists of featured clients. I mean, you can go through, you can tap into that if you choose to do so, but I just thought that I'd bring that to everybody's attention. So back to the Securitize document, right? So I was like, okay, I highlighted this in purple. Redstone will supply price feeds for real world asset tokenized by Securitize. So I was, thinking, okay, we got this red digital asset. Is red the digital asset, the native digital asset for the red blockchain? Is it required to be utilized in order for a client of Securitize to access their price feeds for real world asset tokenization. Long story short, no. Okay. But again, so what I did is I went over to the white paper. This is just my process, my research process, so you guys can see a little bit of it behind the scenes. I always use AI to help me get through things effectively and efficiently that require a long amount of time to read. So white papers, PDFs, blogs, anything that you want to find specific research on, copy the whole dang thing and paste it into ChatGPT or Grok or Perplexity and just start asking it questions, okay? Because you will come across so many more answers faster than trying to thoroughly read it yourself. Not saying not to read it yourself, but just save yourself time. So I literally copied this, like, I don't know, 30-page white paper that they have here. And I asked and I put it into ChatGPT and I pretty much told ChatGPT, define for me what exactly red does, what the utility is for red, and is red required to be utilized by clients of Securitize who are getting price feeds for real world asset tokenization. All right. So this is my conversation, how red is used. I want to drop this in the chat. I was going to thoroughly read through this for you guys. I feel like it will just take up a whole bunch of time. So I want to just kind of sift down here to the bottom that I highlighted. So it says, if a company or individual wants to help secure the network and potentially earn a share of node rewards, then they can delegate or stake their tokens. However, this is purely optional. It is not a requirement for simply reading or consuming data feeds. Holding red mainly matters if you or your node operator want to stake, provide data, or participate in the ecosystem security and governance. Redstone's white paper does not allow data providers to devise special access tiers for token holders, but it does not force Securitize or its clients to hold red for better data. If Securitize's node operator arrangement changes in the future, for example, like requiring some sort of token-based service level agreement, they could tie access or discount pricing to red. So for right now, it's not seeming like this is going to have any significant price impact on red, and I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. So I don't want people to think like, oh, Securitize is partnering with Red, which means more demand for Red, the token itself, because this doesn't necessarily mean that said client of Securitize has to use Red, the digital asset. Actually, going through the white paper, you'll realize that Redstone built it in a way where you can pretty much use any digital asset to use Redstone's platform. However, again, Red being the native digital asset of this platform that's making huge waves and partnerships alike, I can assume that in the future, maybe some large organizations or institutions will want to secure the network and want to become node delegators and providers, right? So, or node operators, excuse me. So that's kind of where I'm seeing this going long term. But it does talk about, Kev shared in the chat. I don't know where here it is right here. This is like kind of more on the flywheel, how red is used, what it's used for, and just gives a little bit better perspective, more realistically on what it's actually used for and where red comes in the digital asset. All right. So again, just something that I'm adding to my portfolio. It's discounted from its all-time high. I'm seeing them make partnerships. They're already offering Bitcoin staking. Leverage says right here, BTC staked on the Bitcoin network for DeFi usage on any blockchain, right? I mean, look at that right there. And we see right now what Flare's trying to do when you have an Oracle provider right here that's partnering with Securitize already doing it, And I'm not saying that they're doing it better. They're obviously, of course, maybe doing it more a little bit fast paced than Flare, but I'm wondering why nobody's talking about this project. And so I'm willing to add it to my portfolio. Another thing that I found about this is if you go back to kind of talk about their partnerships, right? So this is kind of where we're going to transition into Athena, because here you can see it says clients that trust Redstone. This is important. This is where we're going to transition. And this is where those two videos that I talked about at the beginning of this are going to play a role. So pay attention. And remember, just to recap, this lady said that even due to the Bybit hack, the worst hack in crypto history, and if not history of all time, DeFi didn't crash. DeFi was sound. It was secure. It's solid, it's matured, right? That's huge. This gentleman from Blackrock, keep in mind, right? You got Redstone partnering. I mean, it literally says right here, talks about Blackrock. Where's it at? Some of the world's largest financial institutions, Apollo, BlackRock, Hamilton Lane. Okay, so there's a connection here. This gentleman from BlackRock is talking about how everything that's happening in the market right now is a test. Let me freaking blow your mind and full circle everything and prove to you guys that these projects I'm showing you all right now are part of this freaking test. So look at this. It says clients that trust Redstone. First off, one of their clients is Kraken. says right here, Kraken, that's the little Kraken logo. You got Securitize, and then you got Athena. We'll roll over into Athena in just 1 second. Keep in mind, one of their partners is Kraken. Well, this is from March 3rd, 2025. Okay, for those of you guys who don't know, today, this is again back from the beginning of March, marks a pivotal moment for Kraken. The SEC staff has agreed in principle to dismiss its lawsuit against Kraken with prejudice, with no admission of wrongdoing, no penalties paid, and no changes to their business. Since their inception, Kraken has operated with integrity and dedication to doing the right thing. The SEC's lawsuit, which has mischaracterized our consistent business model, was always without merit. This dismissal confirms that is what we have said all along. Regulatory actions must be based off of facts and not political agendas. This dismissal lifts the cloud of uncertainty. It reaffirms that businesses like Kraken, which prioritize compliance and consumer protection, should not just be subject to arbitrary legal battles. So I like that they're talking about how again, their business model revolves around compliance and consumer protection. And you can see them sitting right here as a partner of Redstone, right? So I'm just kind of trying to piece and back more of my investment thesis as to how I believe that Redstone is partnering and making the right connections. You have an organization who just got all charges dropped by the SEC and have talked about how they're prioritizing compliance and consumer protection. It says crypto is more than just a technology. It is a pathway to financial empowerment. Millions of Americans rely on Kraken to access digital assets and take control of their financial journeys, and they are partnered with Redstone, right? So again, just trying to piece things together. You have people or organizations in this ecosystem that are regulatory compliant now, at least via the SEC's perspective, which is a huge step forward, right? We want to be investing in organizations and companies that are falling in line with regulatory compliance, right? I'm here for the long term. I don't want to see my investments get rug pulled. And so this just gives me more backing to that narrative, right? Okay, so that was the little tiny Kraken connection. Rolling over here, we've already been through Securitize. Now let's take a look at Athena. This is freaking huge. So here is Athena's website, athena.fi, enabling internet money, a synthetic dollar with internet value native yield. So if we come over here, this is their X profile. We'll get to that in just 1 second. So if we come over here, this is the blog that was put out on February 25th, 2025. Dates are important. And you guys know that we pay attention to that stuff here at CYPRX. Okay. Keeping in mind the whole entire time that I'm reading thoroughly through this with you guys, the Bybit hack, okay, happened on February 21st, days before these partnerships. I'm about to freaking blow y'all's mind, okay? So the Bybit hack happened on February 21st, 2025. These fundamental pieces that I'm reading to you guys came out afterwards. So here it says Athena's USDE arrives, making Aptos the stablecoin powerhouse. And right down here, it talks about what is USDE, right? Again, this is this synthetic stablecoin that Athena has created. USDE is a decentralized synthetic crypto dollar backed by delta neutral. Hold on, let me move this. By delta neutral crypto collaterals, unlike traditional stablecoins, which rely on fiat reserves. USDE maintains its peg through advanced delta neutral hedging strategies and crypto markets. Let me show you guys how freaking huge this is. All right. So if we come over here, this is the Athena and exchange risk Bybit case study. This came out February 25th, 2025. Again, days shortly after the largest hack in history. Right? Keep that in mind as we continue through the rest of this breakdown. And remember what I showed you guys were the precursors to this video, the gentleman saying that the current ecosystem is a test for what's coming, and the other lady talking about the Bybit hack did not cause disruption in DeFi, and DeFi was able to survive it and mature. So reading thoroughly through this piece, it says the largest ever hack gave Athena the chance to demonstrate the benefits of off-exchange custody solutions and validate USDE's design decisions. Athena holds $0 value of the USDE backing assets directly on exchanges and was able to fully realize $30 million of unrealized profit associated with the open Bybit positions to minimize counterparty risk within 90 minutes. The realized profit was then settled without issue in the next copper clear loop settlement cycle. Athena immediately increased the liquidity buffer on the USDE mint and redeemed smart contract from 30 million to 250 million to seamlessly satisfy over $100 million of redemptions in an hour immediately following the Bybit hack. We're only going to read my highlights, so just pay attention. As the dust settles on the largest hack in crypto history, we wanted to provide an in-depth breakdown of how the protocol handled what many thought would be the worst case scenario event. Okay, that's important. Since Athena's inception, one of the most prevalent questions from the industry was whether Athena had direct exposure to an exchange insolvency and how it would handle a negative idiosyncratic event on any one exchange. While it was an extremely unfortunate event for Bybit, its users, and the industry as a whole, the hack gave Athena the chance to demonstrate the benefits of USDE's design in real time, keeping in mind what USDE's design is. USDE's design is a decentralized synthetic crypto dollar backed by delta neutral crypto collaterals, unlike traditional stablecoins, which rely on fiat reserves. USDE maintains its peg through advanced delta neutral hedging strategies. That is important to remember. So, first and foremost, Athena would like to echo the industry sentiment that Bybit handled the aftermath of the hack with exceptional professionalism. Everything from communication to their operational processes handling withdrawals was commendable. Bybit proved itself to be one of the industry best when it comes to crisis management. In terms of impact on the industry, the dollar amount lost from the Bybit hack was over double the second largest crypto hack, and some believe it to be the largest financial hack of all time inside or outside of crypto. That is, again, huge. So I highlighted that in red. All right. As we continue to scroll down, none of the back assets of USDE are or were held by Bybit directly, as Athena utilizes institutional grade off exchange custodial solutions. In this case, it's Copper's clear loop to access Bybit. Athena mitigates the risk of CFI exchange and failure. Accessing Bybit via Copper Clearloop means settlement cycles occur every 2 hours, 24/7, 365. Realized P&L and spot trades are settled at this cadence, greatly reducing the potential counterparty exposures even in extreme events. This enables Athena to enjoy the benefits of CFI liquidity with only a potentially small amount of backed assets at risk. As panic around the Bybit hack began materializing, users redeemed USDE at an unprecedented pace, with the protocol handling over $120 million in redemptions in just a few hours, representing Athena's largest ever redemption event for a single whole day, surpassing the largest liquidation event ever in crypto just a couple of weeks ago. In the aftermath of the Bybit hack, USDE's peg remained strong. That is huge right there, right? Dipping very briefly on a secondary market on chain before returning close to $1 within an hour. So this just goes to prove that what they created can survive the largest liquidation event and hack in history ever. That is huge. Okay. One of the most liquid USDE pools, USDE, USDC on Curve, had a relatively muted reaction to the Bybit hack, with a max discount of less than 50 basis points during the incident. That is massive. That means that okay, so you have a synthetic stablecoin, USDE, right? This synthetic stablecoin that they created, and you have a regulated stablecoin, USDC. It says right here, had a muted effect to the biggest attack in history. So if we can find, again, I'm just future looking, right? We can find USDE and USDC pools right now and say that that's probably one of the safest pools on the face of the DeFi ecosystem after this just proved that to be the case, right? And it says it's right here on Curve. Anyways, to continue reading. So down here, it says, it is worth noting that if Bybit had become insolvent due to the hack, putting the $30 million of unrealized profit at risk, the potential loss of $30 million was less than the reserve fund, which sits at $60 million presently. As a result, even if the hack had been insolvency level event, or had been an insolvency level event for Bybit, USD's backing would remain whole. And under the clear loop arrangement with Athena, they would have been able to undelegate spot assets and reallocate to other exchanges. So even in the worst case scenario where Bybit went insolvent, they still would have been able to come out on top after this with their USDE, synthetic stablecoin. That is, again, huge. Okay, I'm going to continue to say this is huge, this is huge, this is huge. Watch me full circle this. So as we come down here, Last but not least, it says Athena emerged from both events having experienced zero issues with the backing of redemptions and hoping to use these stress tests to build trust with our users while continually assessing the protocol architecture in the context of various risks. How many times have I told you guys that at the beginning of these articles and at the very end, because they know people's intellect dwindles away halfway through the article and they won't read to the very end. That's where the important juice is. It literally says that this was a stress test.
And maybe these first few phases are testing and challenging the chains to be able to handle the volumes that are coming. But shame on all of us if we don't stop doing proof of concepts and experimentation. It is not innovation until it's put into production. So if I have an ask of myself and others, stop playing around with projects. There's so much talent in this space. Start changing and hacking the ecosystem. Start changing and hacking the ecosystem.
And hope to use these stress tests to build trust. And I told you guys the prerequisite for this is to listen to this gentleman right here on stage, Blackrock, say that the current environment is a test for what is coming, right? Okay, now let me prove. Remember, the Bybit hack took place on February 21st, 2025, right? Okay, days after, look at this, Zoidia custody on February 25th, 4 days after the Bybit hack, right? 2025, Zoidia Custody partners with Athena to drive institutional adoption of stablecoins. Booms, drops the frickin' mic. These institutions had to have seen this test happen and that Athena was able to handle this hack with its USDE synthetic stablecoin. And now, Zoidia Custody, backed by Standard Charter, Northern Trust, all these other major larger financial institutions, just partnered with them to drive institutional adoption of stablecoins. You cannot make this stuff up, y'all. They are testing this stuff right here in front of us. It says right here, James Harris, Chief Commercial Officer at Zoidia Custody, shared the launch of our rewards program reinforces Zoidia Custody's mission to help institutions users engage seamlessly with digital assets while maximizing capital efficiency beyond custody. We want to provide solutions that unlock earning potential, and we will continue to work with partners like Athena to offer our clients new opportunities to put their assets to work. And what did I just say to you guys? This this pool that they're talking about, right? Look at this. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? USDC, USDE, right? One of the most secure pools right now. Look at that. You cannot make this stuff up. This is crazy, y'all. That this partnership came 4 days after the largest hack in crypto history. Come on. Come on now. You can't get any more clear than that. So it says Zoidia Custody, for again, those who don't know, is one of the preeminent and most trusted custodians today. And this launch underscores the significant demand for two of the most reliable and secure assets currently on the market, USDE and USDTB. It's talking about another stablecoin. But right there, it says one of the most secure stablecoins currently on the market. And this is after 4 days of the Bybit hack, right? Come on now, people. Nobody just put what I just put together right now on the face of the internet. I'm sorry. Nobody's made a video like this. So anyways, then check this out. This is from 3 days ago. Zoidia Custody just said here, DeFi is maturing and TradFi is listening.
And then it's no secret, right? Financial institutions and also asset managers are not only anymore just, running POCs and exploring, but they're actually moving to production.
Okay, so I just thought that I'd sprinkle that in there. That's coming directly from their LinkedIn profile, and it talks about how DeFi for institutions, protocols building with capital efficiency and sustainable yields are gaining traction, especially those offering strong asset protection and fundamental risk safeguards. What did I just show you? Athena just did, right? Okay, so back to their X profile to end this here. All right, we got Athena. They're currently right now, as we record this video, this was posted 2 hours ago from Securitize. They just announced a major milestone at Tokenize New York, this event that's taking place, Tokenize New York. Athena Labs and Securitize introduced Converge, the blockchain built for institutional DeFi. Come on now, days after the Bybit hack, days after I just showed you all that stuff, and we see them sitting here on Redstone, clients that trust Redstone, Athena sitting right there with Securitize, with Kraken, just to back loop everything. So in a nutshell, right, to not prolong this video out any more than it needs to be, these are why some of the reasons I'm adding these two assets to my portfolio. As I said, I will go down the rabbit hole on the other two assets, Wormhole and SEI. and another video breakdown showing you guys some of the gems that I found. The rabbit holes go so much deeper than what I just showed you guys, by the way, which is why I encourage you all to do your own personal research. Go look at who's on the team, go look at their previous experience, their history, their backgrounds, other major partnerships that were announced in most recent times, like from the beginning of this year, maybe like 6 months ago. Huge things were announced on each of these platforms and blockchains and ecosystems. I just didn't have time to cover it all today. But yeah, so that's my Zoom call for today. Let's wrap it up. Like I said, none of this is financial advice. I'm just trying to show you guys what it is that I'm looking at and the research that I'm doing in the market. And again, I could be wrong, right? I could be completely delusional and I could just be making all this up, but I doubt that. And I firmly believe that in the next 5 to 10 years, my theories and my analysis will to some degree be proven right. It will just take time. Again, I'm not here telling you guys that these are going to be good investments in the next year to 2 years. For me, they're long-term holds. I'm probably going to just buy, hodl them. I know that both of these platforms offer staking solutions, so maybe I'll figure out a way to start earning passive rewards on them and participating in their DeFi ecosystems moving forward. But definitely something that I'm paying attention to now as this market continues to mature and progress, right? So that's my call for today for this. I'm going to end the recording and then I'll open the Zoom call up for questions, comments, just general commentary before we hop off. We can even talk about the fundamentals a little bit if you guys want to, but I hope that you all enjoyed.